Aaron, earlier today in this federal courthouse right behind me, the judge finally unsealed these charges we've been waiting to see and revealed that right now the government is focusing its case on the threat against the president. Now, we know from his letters that he also was looking to target other administration officials, but this charge of assassination attempting, this comes with the potential of life in prison if convicted.
Cole Allen's journey of accountability in the criminal justice system starts today.
The man accused of trying to assassinate President Donald Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner appeared in court for the first time today.
Today, the Department of Justice filed 3 federal charges in United States District Court against Cole Thomas Allen.
The 31-year-old alleged gunman was formally charged with 1 count of attempting to assassinate the president, 1 count of discharging a firearm during a violent crime, and 1 count of transportation of a firearm and ammunition in interstate commerce.
There will be additional charges as this investigation continues to unfold.
Allen appeared in court in bright blue prison scrubs and was expressionless as he answered a series of standard questions from a judge. He has requested a public defender be assigned to his case. Investigators have learned Allen is from Torrance, California, works as a part-time teacher and video game developer, and graduated from Caltech with a degree in mechanical engineering. Today, he also told the judge he has a master's degree in computer science. Officials say Allen made a reservation at the Washington Hilton on April 6th. He reportedly left Los Angeles by train on April 21st, arriving in Chicago, and then went on to D.C. on April 24th, the day before the Correspondents' Dinner. Around the time authorities say Allen stormed the security checkpoint, he allegedly sent an email to his family detailing his plan.
He was targeting President Trump. He described that in his manifesto. He was targeting administration officials. He described that. But as far as us understanding additional motivation, that's for the FBI and law enforcement.
The acting attorney general, the highest-ranking law enforcement official in the country, praised the swift response Saturday.
We also should recognize what did not happen. Law enforcement did not fail. They did exactly what they are trained to do.
On the night of the shooting, the U.S. attorney said Allen would be charged with shooting a law enforcement officer. That was not included in today's charges. Officials say they're still investigating if Allen hit the officer or if it was crossfire. Now, Allen will be back in federal court here on Thursday for a detention hearing. Aaron?
All right, Paula, thank you very much. As I said, live outside that courthouse in Washington. Everyone's here with me together to talk about this. So, Joey, the note to the family that the suspect sent right before he went to commit this horrible crime. The note actually never mentions Trump's name, but the first charge that we obviously saw and that was picked up in the headline, right, the first charge was attempt to assassinate the President of the United States. So, you know, obviously that's going to catch people right there. There are now additional charges. But do you see that charge in the information that we have thus far?
So there's going to be an issue, and the issue relates to, let's talk some legality. It's called substantial step. When you make an attempt, that means you failed. And so the issue becomes, did the attempt that you engaged in, did it go beyond mere preparation? Now, prosecutors will say, well, of course it did. There's nothing to be spoken about here. There were guns that he had. He traveled, right, from California, and he went to Chicago, and then he came to D.C., and he checked himself in a hotel with those weapons. He obviously went to the actual event. He breached a perimeter. He shot at a federal agent. And so prosecutors will say, well, that's way beyond a substantial step. In fact, it goes to the commission of the offense itself. Yeah. However, defense attorneys will say, well, what do you mean? He didn't get close to the president. And in fact, there were hundreds of agents that distanced him from them. And then it gets a little more complicated because something called factual impossibility is not a defense, right? The fact that you couldn't carry it out doesn't mean you didn't take steps beyond preparation. And then the other issue is going to be, to the extent that he didn't proceed after he was under control to try to do it even more, does that mean that he abandoned it? So beyond the words, Erin, that you noted in terms of what was written, they're going to argue, his defense attorneys, that that charge should not apply, and it'll be up to a jury. It's a jury question. The jury will be given an instruction as to what substantial step means. Is it beyond preparation, ladies and gentlemen? And expect the defense to to attack the issue that it could not have happened, didn't happen, and was way too early on to have happened.
Nobody in recent years has faced more bullets and more violence than President Trump. This political violence stems from a systemic demonization of him and his supporters by commentators, yes, by elected members of the Democrat Party, and even some in the media. This hateful and constant and violent rhetoric directed at President Trump day after day after day for 11 years has helped to legitimize this violence and bring us to this dark moment. Those who constantly, falsely label and slander the president as a fascist, as a threat to democracy, and compare him to Hitler to score political points are fueling this kind of violence.
As indicated, these are the weapons that the defendant had on his person. You can see that's a 12-gauge pump-action Mossberg shotgun. It's a .38 semi-automatic. He had at least 3 knives and all kinds of paraphernalia. So any suggestion that he wasn't there to do harm is absurd. We will prove when he purchased these guns. They were purchased in California. Why is that relevant? It is relevant because he crossed interstate lines with those firearms. And those are the firearms that he used on the night of the 25th, or attempted to use at the very least.
I want to make this clear. This man was a floor above the ballroom with hundreds of federal agents between him and the President of the United States. The Department of Justice approaches incidents like this with urgency and clarity of purpose. Violence has no place in civic life. It cannot and will not be used to disrupt democratic institutions or intimidate those who serve them, and it certainly cannot continue to be used against the President of the United States. We are investigating this matter fully. We will apply the law fairly, and we will ensure that accountability is swift and certain.
播报新闻是我的日常，必须时刻保持妆容和皮肤的最佳状态。当来到人生中最重要的时刻，也是 KS 逆时奇迹帮助我轻松驾驭，闪闪发光。KS 逆时奇迹活肤露全效精华、精华霜，多达5种 EGF 6大冻龄关键成分，保湿效果让我非常满意，小细纹也不再困扰我。我就是我自己的最佳女主角。KS 让我从容自信，光彩动人。我是我人生中的大女主，我的最爱我做主。KS 逆时奇迹系列热卖中，下单请上快点购，透过中天新闻网 App 下单立减50，或输入 CTI 推荐码有额外折扣。